Welcome back, Focus Learners. Let's jump right into today's explainer because we are taking a fascinating journey straight inside your own body. We're exploring the alimentary canal. Basically, it's this incredible multi-stage processing plant that powers absolutely everything you do. I mean, every time you move, or grow, or even heal a scrape, you are relying on nutrients. But here's the catch. Your body can't just use a sandwich exactly as it is. It has to completely break it down first.
So think about it. What actually happens inside you after you swallow a bite of food? I want you to picture this as a literal hero's journey, just for a single bite of your lunch. To get those precious nutrients into your cells, that food has to survive this highly coordinated gauntlet of mechanical crushing and really intense chemical transformations. It is a non-stop, 24/7 biological factory tour, and we're about to go right down the assembly line.
Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start at the mouth for intake, move down the esophagus for transit, drop into the stomach's acid vat, extract nutrients via the small intestine and its villi, and wrap it all up with the large intestine for cleanup.
Stop number 1. The mouth, where digestion begins.
Welcome to the intake facility. This is where the physical breakdown of our food kicks off, and the body actually attacks your food from two different angles simultaneously. On one side, you have mechanical digestion. Your teeth are acting as the heavy machinery here, cutting and grinding large pieces into smaller fragments. But on the other side, chemical digestion is already starting. You've got 3 pairs of salivary glands pumping out saliva, which uses water and mucus to moisten things up. But crucially, it contains an enzyme called salivary amylase. This enzyme immediately goes to work breaking down complex carbohydrates, specifically starch, into a simpler sugar called maltose.
So, all that chewing and chemical mixing leads to our food's first major transformation. With a little help from your tongue, all that chewed, moistened food gets rolled up into a soft, slippery, rounded mass. We call this a bolus. Now your food is fully prepped for its descent into the deeper parts of the factory.
Step 2. Swallowing and the esophagus. Getting that bolus safely down the hatch actually requires some incredibly precise, automated safety mechanisms in the pharynx, which is the area connecting your mouth to your esophagus. Let's break down the sequence. Step 1. The tongue pushes the bolus to the back of the mouth. Step 2. The roof of your mouth, the soft palate, actually rises up to seal off your nasal cavity so food doesn't go up your nose. And Step 3. A little flap of elastic cartilage called the epiglottis drops down to cover the glottis. The glottis is the opening to your windpipe or trachea. So the main takeaway here, this sequential safety mechanism is absolutely crucial. It ensures your food goes safely into your stomach and definitely not into your lungs.
Once the bolus safely clears the pharynx, it enters the esophagus. This is a tube about 25 centimeters long. But here's the cool part. The food doesn't just fall down via gravity. Through a process called peristalsis, the smooth muscles in the tube's walls create these really strong wave-like contractions. These waves squeeze the food downward, and they are so forceful and effective, you could literally swallow a bolus while standing on your head. No way, right? But it's true. Phase 3. The stomach's acid bath.
Pushed along by peristalsis, our bolus arrives at a muscular ring called the cardiac sphincter. This acts as a gateway, opening up to let the food drop right into our body's J-shaped acid vat, the stomach. Inside, gastric glands are secreting a really potent mixture called gastric juice. First up is hydrochloric acid, or HCl, which acts as a sterilizer, killing off pathogenic bacteria in your food. Second, that acid activates an otherwise inactive enzyme called pepsinogen, transforming it into the active enzyme pepsin. Pepsin then immediately starts slicing large proteins down into smaller chains called peptides. Finally, there's mucus. And while all these chemicals are doing their thing, the thick muscular walls of the stomach are forcefully churning it all together, generating actual heat that helps melt down lipids or fats.
Okay, I have to stop and point this out because it is absolutely fascinating. Our own biological factory relies on such a hazardous chemical, hydrochloric acid, that it is literally strong enough to dissolve metal. It's wildly powerful. So why doesn't your stomach just digest itself? Well, that thick layer of mucus we just mentioned completely coats the inner walls of the stomach. It safely neutralizes the acid right at the surface, securely containing this incredibly dangerous bath.
After spending about 3 to 4 hours being completely crushed and chemically melted down in the stomach, our hero undergoes its second major transformation. The bolus, completely gone. In its place is a thick, soup-like, highly acidic mixture called chyme. This chyme is then carefully squeezed out of the stomach through another gateway,
the pyloric sphincter, into the next phase. But it's super controlled. It only lets out about 5 to 15 milliliters at a time, just so the next organ isn't totally overwhelmed.
Part 4. The small intestine and helper organs.
Let's move to the main nutrient extraction facility, the small intestine, which is made up of the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. Now look at that number, 7 meters. That represents the astonishing length of this highly coiled tube packed so efficiently right inside your abdomen. Most of the chemical digestion and nearly all the absorption happens right here in this incredibly long tube.
The sheer chemical complexity happening as the food moves through the system is amazing. We've already seen amylase act on starch back in the mouth, and pepsin act on proteins in the stomach. Now down in the small intestine, pancreatic enzymes enter the fray. Trypsin breaks down proteins into final amino acids, and lipase attacks fats to create fatty acids and glycerol. I like to think of these highly specialized enzymes as tiny biological scissors. They are cutting complex, unusable polymer molecules into simple, usable monomer building blocks that your body can actually absorb.
But listen, the small intestine definitely doesn't work alone to handle that highly acidic chyme coming from the stomach. It leans heavily on its helper organs. The liver produces bile, which gets stored in the gallbladder. Bile acts exactly like biological dish soap. It emulsifies fats, meaning it breaks huge, stubborn fat clumps into tiny, suspended droplets, so those lipase enzymes can actually get to them. As a bonus, the liver is also a major chemical processing hub, storing glycogen, detoxifying chemicals, and generating heat. Then you've got the pancreas. Not only does it provide those tiny biological scissors, the digestive enzymes, but it also secretes sodium bicarbonate to immediately neutralize all that dangerous acid in the chyme.
Phase 5. Villi and absorbing the nutrients.
Okay, so the chemical breakdown is finally complete, but those simple monomers are still stuck inside the tube. To actually extract them, the entire inside of the small intestine is covered in millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi. These massively increase the surface area for absorption. Think of each villus as a microscopic sorting facility. Sugars and amino acids get absorbed directly into the blood capillaries, which route them straight over to the liver via the hepatic portal vein for processing. Meanwhile, fatty acids and glycerol are absorbed by a totally different pathway. They go into a lymph vessel called a lacteal, which eventually dumps them into the bloodstream right up near your heart. It's a brilliant system where nutrients are sorted and transported exactly where the body needs them.
Step 6. The large intestine and waste removal.
Finally, whatever cannot be digested or absorbed by the small intestine passes into the cleanup crew department, the large intestine. The main goal here, water conservation. As the material moves through the cecum and the colon, excess water is actively pulled right back into the bloodstream. This process transforms what was essentially leftover liquid sludge into solid feces. This solid waste, which is mostly just undigested food, bacteria, shed cells, and bile pigments, gets temporarily stored in the rectum until it's finally ready for safe removal. That's egestion out of the body through the anus.
And just like that, our hero's journey comes to a close. We've seen how a single bite of food gets mechanically crushed, chemically dissolved, and expertly sorted through a 7-meter-long biological processing plant. It's truly a marvel of anatomy that operates completely automatically, day and night, just keeping you alive and healthy. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. Given the incredible automated factory operating inside you right now, how will you choose to fuel it today? Make it count. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.